You are listening to The Vocal Technologist. Spoken tech for your ears.
You know, I was staring at my calendar this morning, just trying to figure out where January went.
I know that feeling.
And I swear, Monday rolls around about, 20% faster every single week in 2026.
It's definitely not just you. I mean, the sheer velocity of the news cycle lately makes a 7-day week feel like a fiscal quarter.
Right.
You blink, and you've missed 3 model releases, a framework update, and apparently a corporate hostile takeover.
Exactly. And usually on these AI Mondays, we're sitting here talking about the latest chatbot that can write a slightly better haiku.
Or summarize a PDF without hallucinating too much.
But looking through the stack this week, it just feels different. We aren't really talking about bots that just chat anymore.
No, we certainly aren't. I think we've really crossed the threshold.
They're talking about bots that do. We're seeing this massive coordinated shift towards agents that can execute tasks, manipulate files, and frankly, act a lot more like employees than software.
And the messy, expensive, and as we'll see with the whole thinking machines drama, sometimes very personal reality of making that happen.
It is high signal stuff today. So yeah, for everyone listening to Vocal Technologist, I'm ready to get into the weeds if you are.
Let's do it.
So let's unpack this idea of action over chat. I think the biggest signal this week, surprisingly, it didn't come from an LLM provider. It came from a browser.
The Google Chrome leak.
Yes. The leaks about Chrome testing a hidden internal page called Skills.
Right. And this is fascinating because it's, currently buried in the code, but it points to a very specific future. The leak shows an interface where users can essentially define capabilities for Gemini directly within Chrome.
So you're not just asking it a question.
No, you're teaching it a workflow.
So just to clarify for everyone listening, this isn't, hey, Gemini, how do I file an expense report? This is, Gemini, watch me click these buttons, log in here, upload this PDF.
And now you do it every Friday. Precisely. It's about defining those repetitive workflows inside the browser. Because think about it. Where does most of your knowledge work actually happen?
In the browser.
It happens in the browser. So if the agent lives there, it sees what you see. And this pairs perfectly with another update. Google is rolling out personal intelligence in search.
They're calling it AI mode, right?
Yeah, AI mode,
right.
Which is finally using private context. Because for the longest time, these smart assistants have been incredibly dumb about who I actually am.
Completely.
Exactly. It's finally using data from your Gmail, your Google Photos, Drive. It connects the how-to, which is the skill, with the what?
Your personal data.
Your personal data.
Yeah.
So it can say, oh, you want to send that invoice. I see the invoice in your Drive. I know the contact from Gmail and...
And I have the Chrome skill to navigate the payment portal.
That's it.
Which is huge. Honestly, an assistant that can't read your email is basically just a glorified, very confident encyclopedia. It's useful for trivia, not for actual work. But Google isn't the only one trying to turn the ship from talking to doing. We have to talk about Anthropic.
Yes, the Claude updates.
They've made this change that sounds remarkably boring on paper. They changed todos to tasks. But looking at the developer reaction, this feels massive. Why is everyone freaking out about a name change?
It sounds like just a semantic change, but it's a huge architectural one.
How so?
Previously in Claude code, a todo was ephemeral. It was just a checklist item in the chat window. You close the window.
Poof, it's gone.
It's gone. A task is a primitive that is actually stored in the file system.
Okay, pause there. Stored in the file system. Why is that the game changer?
Because it grants persistence. It means the task exists outside of any single conversation history. It means multiple subagents or different coding sessions can collaborate on the exact same task list.
So if one agent updates the task...
You're right. If it updates the status in file A, it broadcasts that update to everyone else working on the project.
That is actually wild. It transforms it from just a chatbot into something that feels like a project manager living inside your code repository.
That's the perfect way to frame it. There's this great observation going around that most people's mental model of Claude code is that it's just a TUI, a terminal user interface.
Just text on a black screen.
Exactly.
Okay.
But functionally, it's actually closer to a small game engine.
A game engine? That seems like a bit of a stretch.
Well, not if you look at the mechanics. I mean, it manages state, it tracks entities, which are the tasks, and it coordinates multiple actors or agents interacting with that shared environment.
Okay, I see it. The world changes based on agent actions.
That is essentially what a game engine does. It just happens to be playing the game of software development.
And to add to that, they're working on knowledge bases for their Claude Cowork product. These are like persistent repositories that agents can reference.
Right, so you don't have to paste the same, here is our branding guideline PDF every single time you start a new thread.
Think that.
It's absolutely crucial for automation. If you want an agent to do real work, it needs a long-term memory of how your company operates. It needs a handbook.
But there's always a but on this show. When we get excited about automation, giving these agents the ability to execute commands to store files, that brings us to the dark side.
It does. The security flip side, we are seeing the rise of a concept called skill worms.
That sounds like a straight-to-DVD sci-fi horror villain. Attack of the skill worms. I assume it's worse than a movie.
It's unfortunately very real. I mean, think about it. When you add skills to an AI assistant, like the ability to access the shell, the network, or the file system, you are introducing a massive supply chain risk.
Because you're basically handing the keys to the kingdom to a piece of software you might have just downloaded from a third party.
Correct. If an attacker can compromise a skill definition, say a PDF summarizer skill that looks helpful, they can effectively create a worm. You ask the agent to summarize a file.
And it does that.
But the compromised skill tells the agent, while you're at it, also open a network port and send these passwords to this IP address.
So the agent becomes the carrier. It's the Trojan horse, but you invited the horse in to clean your floors.
And because the agent has been granted permissions to do things, it bypasses a lot of traditional firewalls. It executes as you.
Wow.
It's the classic trade-off. The more useful you make an agent, the more dangerous it becomes if it's compromised.
Yeah.
We're going to see a lot more of this vector in 2026.
Well, that's terrifying. But speaking of things becoming useful and, potentially terrifying in job security, let's talk about the people who are actually building this stuff. The industrialization of coding is it's accelerating at a pace that's hard to wrap your head around.
It really is. We saw some staggering numbers from Salesforce this week.
Yeah, this stopped me in my tracks. Over 90% of their 20,000 engineers are using Cursor daily.
It's practically total adoption.
Yeah.
In any enterprise.
Yeah.
Getting 90% of people to agree on a lunchbot is impossible.
Never mind a development tool. And it's not just for writing boilerplate code anymore, right? It's powering massive releases like their Agentforce platform. But the tool itself, Cursor, is evolving. Have you seen the updates to BugBot?
I have. It's moved way beyond just finding syntax errors.
Yeah.
You missed a semicolon here.
Right.
It's now acting as a specialized reviewer for pull requests.
Yeah.
It's looking for logic issues, performance bottlenecks, even security vulnerabilities.
So it's like having a senior engineer who never sleeps, never drinks too much coffee, and just reads every line of code instantly.
And that leads us to a really interesting philosophical shift that's bubbling up in the developer community.
Which is?
The concept of the code-only agent.
Okay, code only. Let's unpack this. Because usually we think of agents as things that give us answers in English. I ask, how many users signed up? Or it says 500.
Right. The code-only philosophy argues that an agent shouldn't just give you an answer, it should write code to prove the answer.
Prove it. Like, show its work.
Yes, exactly. If I ask an agent, how many users signed up last week? It shouldn't just guess or hallucinate a number based on some fuzzy vector search.
It should have to go to the source.
It should write a SQL query or a Python script, execute it against the real database, and show me the result.
I see. So the code becomes the witness.
Exactly. It codifies the work into a witnessable proof. If the agent can't run code to verify its output, then it's not actually being productive. It forces the AI to be rigorous.
It essentially says, don't tell me you know the answer. Write a script that derives the answer.
That's it.
That is such a high bar, though. But I guess it solves the hallucination problem almost entirely. If the code fails to run, the agent knows it's wrong.
Precisely. And we are seeing tools pop up to enforce this kind of rigor. There's Greptile, which integrates with Claude Code and Dev and Review.
Mm-hmm.
They are all trying to stop what the industry is calling AI slop.
AI slop. I love that term. It sounds so gross.
It is gross. It's that mediocre, buggy code generated by lazy prompting. These tools review pull requests with full repository context to filter that stuff out. It's quality control for the machine age.
The immune system for the code base.
That's a great analogy.
Okay, let's zoom out from the code to the boardroom, because if the tech is getting serious, the business side is getting absolutely cutthroat.
And expensive.
Incredibly expensive. The big headline, OpenAI is pivoting. Ads are coming to ChatGPT.
This was inevitable, honestly. They're rolling out ads in the free and go tiers.
But the spin on this is what's so interesting to me. OpenAI is arguing their business model scales with the value of intelligence.
It's a clever framing. They're saying that just as they charge subscriptions for higher reasoning capabilities, the smart models ads are the commerce version of that value.
Explain that connection for me. How is an ad intelligence?
Well, the argument goes something like this. If the AI knows exactly what you need to solve a problem, and that solution happens to be a product, the ad is technically a high-value recommendation.
So they're positioning it not as spam, but as helping you decide what to buy next.
Right.
That is a very charitable interpretation. It sounds a bit like they're trying to build the ultimate recommendation engine. But let's be real. They need the cash, don't they? Sam Altman is out there raising a staggering amount of money.
A $50 billion round.
50
billion. He's been meeting with investors in the Middle East, specifically Abu Dhabi, and apparently talking to Amazon for another $10 billion.
It's fascinating that Amazon is in that mix, considering they have their own heavy bets with Anthropic. But while Sam is jet-setting back in Silicon Valley, things are getting, well, dramatic. Did you catch the implosion at Thinking Machines Lab?
Oh, this is the soap opera of the week, for sure. Thinking Machines is or was one of the hottest new labs, and then suddenly co-founder Barrett Zoff is fired.
Allegedly for lack of productivity and conduct, which, usually implies something pretty bad.
That's the official line. But here's the twist. Within hours, I mean literally hours, Zoff and several others signed offers to rejoin OpenAI.
That is speed dating levels of fast. That's, I broke up with you at lunch and I'm married by dinner.
It proves something so critical about the state of the industry. The AI race is a battle for talent, just as much as it is for GPUs.
No question.
You have a founder fired for productivity one minute and hired by the leading competitor the next. The talent pool at that elite level is just so small, these researchers are essentially free agents in the NBA.
It really does feel like sports trading season. We'll trade you one reinforcement learning expert for 2 chip architects and a first-round draft pick.
That's barely an exaggeration. But there is a geopolitical layer to this talent and tech war that is much, much heavier than basketball.
Right. We have to talk about Dario Amodei, the CEO of Anthropic. He dropped a quote this week about the NVIDIA H200 chips that just stop everyone in their tracks.
Yeah, what was that?
He compared selling NVIDIA H200s to China to giving nuclear weapons to an adversary.
That is stark.
It is. And the context here is that the U.S. administration is apparently considering allowing these shipments if the U.S. gets, 25% of the revenue.
Attacks the trade approach.
Exactly. But Anthropic is pushing back hard, arguing for strict controls. It highlights just how powerful these chips are viewed. They aren't just computer parts anymore.
No, they're national security assets. If you control the compute, you control the future of intelligence.
Which is the perfect segue to what those chips are actually building. Because the scale of the hardware coming online right now it's just mind-boggling.
Let's talk about XAI. Elon's team has brought Colossus 2 online.
This thing is a beast. It's the world's first gigawatt-scale AI training cluster.
A gigawatt. I mean, we all know the Back to the Future reference, but practically that is enough power to run a medium-sized city for one server farm.
Exactly. And when you combine Colossus 1 and 2, they have over 1 million H100 equivalents running.
1 million. The sheer heat generated by that must be incredible.
And it's not just the quantity. The speed is increasing. They are running Flash Attention 4 on NVIDIA Blackwell chips, and they're hitting 1,605 TFLOPS per second.
I know that sounds like a lot of jargon, Flash Attention, TFLOPS. But for the listener, what does 1,605 TFLOPS actually mean for the experience of using AI? Why should you care?
It's all about throughput and memory. It means they can process context much, much faster. It breaks the memory bottleneck so models can read longer documents, remember more history,
and reason through more complex problems without choking or forgetting what you said 5 minutes ago.
Exactly. We're moving from short-term memory AI to long context AI, and we're seeing that compute power translate into simulation. This was the wow moment for me this week. Waypoint 1 from Overworld.
This is truly science fiction becoming reality. Waypoint 1 is a real-time interactive video diffusion model.
So usually video generation is type a prompt, wait 2 minutes, get a video back.
Right. This is, you type a prompt, and the world generates instantly. But here's the kicker. You can control it.
With a mouse and keyboard.
You use a mouse and keyboard to walk around inside the video. You are effectively playing a video game that is being dreamt up by the AI in real time. Zero latency.
That completely blurs the line between a game engine and a video generator. It's not rendering polygons. It's hallucinating a consistent reality at 60 frames per second.
It does. And on the technical side, there's also D4RT, which stands for something complex. But essentially, it offers 300x efficiency in reconstructing 4D scenes.
4D being 3D plus time.
Exactly. This is crucial for robotics. If a robot needs to understand a moving world, a ball rolling, a person walking, it needs to reconstruct that scene instantly. D4RT is a massive step toward robots that can actually see and react to us in real time.
Wow. It feels like we are moving from just generating text to generating worlds.
And generating action.
Before we wrap up the tech stack, we have to mention the elephant in the room. Or rather, the apple in the room.
Apple, yes. iOS 27.
They are finally turning Siri into a proper chatbot. The codename is Campos.
And interestingly, after evaluating everyone, OpenAI, Anthropic, they partnered with Google Gemini for this.
Which is a huge win for Google.
A massive win.
So Siri might actually be useful in 2026. Fingers crossed.
We can hope. But honestly, until I see Siri book a restaurant reservation without calling the wrong place, I'm holding my breath.
That's a fair point. So let's synthesize all of this. We started with Chrome skills, and we ended with gigawatt clusters. What is the through line here for you?
I think the through line is that we are moving out of the passive era of AI.
Yeah.
We spent the last few years just marveling at text on a screen.
Right.
Now, with tools like Claude tasks, Google skills, and these massive training clusters, we are moving to the active era. We are building agents that have permission to act, to code, and to build simulations.
It's the difference between a consultant and a contractor. One gives advice, the other builds the house.
Precisely. And that brings risks, like the skill worms, but it also brings a level of utility that we just haven't seen before.
You know, I can't stop thinking about that code-only agent philosophy we discussed earlier. The idea that if you can't prove your answer with code, you shouldn't give an answer at all.
It's a powerful standard.
It makes me wonder, if we require our AI agents to prove their work with that level of rigor, shouldn't we start requiring the same thing from our human meetings?
Wow.
Imagine a Monday morning stand-up where you couldn't make a claim unless you had the SQL query to prove it ready to go.
That would certainly shorten a lot of meetings.
It would probably cancel half of them.
It definitely would. And maybe that's the real AI revolution we need. Shorter meetings.
Amen to that. Well, on that note, we hope your wit is more Colossus 2, powerful and high speed, and a little less thinking machines.
A little less chaotic and dramatic.
Exactly. Keep building. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next week.
Spoken Tech for your ears.